everybody. It's your boy. It's the Spider-Pan, Head Lost Boy here in Neverland of the Neverland Podcast, which I do want to update that just a little bit. If you have subscribed to, well, whichever channel you're subscribed to that you're watching this video, you may have noticed a little bit of rebranding. We've kind of updated things. I've done it already on iTunes and a few other locations. You may have noticed that the Neverland Podcast, I've now updated to where on iTunes and a lot of other places, it shows up as Neverland to Disney and beyond. For some of you, this is not a new thing. You're used to us, having the catchphrase to Disney and beyond. We have a little sounder that plays, when we go into our main topic usually, because that really does fit the show. We do talk a lot of course, Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Muppets, all that kind of thing, but we go beyond that and we'll go outside of Disney for some other things that we figure if you're a fan of all these things that are Disney, you might be a fan of these as well. Well, now we're rebranding not only the podcast, but here on YouTube as well. We've rebranded. In fact, if you're looking at this on what is my personal channel, you'll notice that it doesn't say Glue Band anymore. It says The Spider-Pan. In fact, those same changes are some that I've made on Twitter. So I have a personal Twitter feed that is at The Spider-Pan, and also there's, of course, at Neverland PCast. But, of course, you can find everything at neverlandpodcast.com, which has been upgraded now. It is now a secure site. That's one of the changes that has happened with all the changes of the website going down. So I wanted to make you aware of some rebranding going on, and even the YouTube channel for the Neverland Podcast. You can now go youtube.com/Neverland to Disney and beyond to find us. I know it's a mouthful. I didn't mean for it to be a mouthful, but I just renamed the channel, and I found out that I could personalize the site for YouTube, and that whole big long title kind of got moved into it. So I'm not allowed to, for whatever reason, to monetize on the Neverland Podcast channel. I think I may have messed something up, although it says I don't have any copyright violations or strikes against me, but they're not allowing me to monetize there. I don't think I've got things set up on my personal channel, which is now The Spider-Pan, where I can monetize there. Set up. I don't seem to be unallowed. I just, I don't think I have enough views or stuff going on there. I mean, my major focus really is over on the Neverland Podcast channel. Going forward, though, the Neverland Podcast channel, I'm still going to make some gaming videos. I have a lot of video. Actually, I still need to edit for a lot of different games. But the gaming you'll see on each channel, like on the Neverland Podcast channel, that's going to be, Spider-Man is fine. Kingdom Hearts, I still want to get back and play that. Stuff like that. Those games, my playthroughs on those, I'll gladly share there. Something that's appropriate for that audience. The Spider-Pan is still my personal channel, so that's, I have some games that maybe are not as family friendly. So stuff like Uncharted 4, because it's a great game, but there's some language. I probably have some footage of The Witcher 3, which is also a great game, but there's a lot more than just language in that one. There's some stuff I'm playing now I wish I could share with you, but I don't have the right equipment to share from my PlayStation 3. I've been playing through L.A. Noire, which has been very entertaining. But it's got some content issues that I could not share that regularly on the podcast. So the personal channel is a little different than the podcast channel. But now that we've got that out of the way, I want to jump into some things where, well, from the start, if you go across YouTube, you can find all kinds of videos of people complaining about what Disney's doing with Star Wars. And sometimes, occasionally, some people complaining about Disney's influence on Marvel. Now, I want to remind everybody that Disney, yes, owns these companies, but Lucasfilm is still able to do their thing. So is Marvel. Even when Disney bought Marvel, they said that they didn't want to interfere with their day-to-day stuff, But now there's a little bit more oomph, a little bit more marketing power, some bit more money going into like Marvel Studios and into Lucasfilm to produce more films, which, Disney's going to profit from, but so is these other companies. Same thing is probably going to happen with Fox. Fox is still going to be able to make whatever movies, just kind of like how Touchstone was free to make movies that, Disney couldn't quite put under the Disney brand. There's a particular brand they have to protect. So anything that you're having issues with on any Marvel films or Lucasfilm properties, any films that they're making, that's where that blame needs to go. Now, the reason why I'm also seeing a lot of the blame, of course, and I've already addressed this, that there's some imperfections in these newer Star Wars movies, and something I think they might be able to fix. Rey is not as strong of a character as, like, say, Luke was, and I think a lot of it has to do with Luke. He gets defeated by Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back. He nearly dies. He makes a mistake, and he learns and grows, and when he shows up in Return of the Jedi, we see how he's learned, and he's grown, and he's so much stronger when he comes back. Rey has not had that journey, and that's affecting our reaction to it, and it seems to be that agenda of we want stronger female characters, and that might even be the agenda behind why we're having a Toy Story 4, which worries me that that's not going to come out as well as what we would hope. But some of those problems seem to be also coming up with Captain Marvel. I have not had much complaints about the trailers. I guess maybe I'm not analyzing it, but I have seen reaction to the Captain Marvel trailers, the way Carol Danvers kind of sasses to Nick Fury and her overall attitude. They don't like that. And I can see kind of where they're coming from. Maybe I need to have repeated watchings of the trailer. And I mean, I know there's been some little comments. I've actually even recently seen a remade version of the trailer where they added some Metallica music in there, and they took out those lines that they didn't like. Because here is the overall point, I think, of where people are going to run into the wall with Captain Marvel, is if you want to have a good female hero character, it's fun to watch them become a hero. Like Wonder Woman, at the start of the Wonder Woman movie, she wasn't really a hero yet, but she learned to become a hero, and she was a great one. And along the path of her journey, she didn't step on anybody to get there. One of the problems with the remake of Ghostbusters, or Ghostbusters Answer the Call, is they stepped on every male character in some fashion. You cannot lift yourself up by pushing someone else down. Well, I guess you can, but you can't do it properly. No one's going to like you for it. And if that's what they're doing with Captain Marvel, that could be a problem. And if some other things I'm hearing, another pretty fun channel I've been finding, it's That Star Wars Girl. Go look her up on YouTube. She's had some interesting points. I've watched a couple of her videos, and she's really getting really tired of Brie Larson. And she's a woman, and she's okay with women heroes. She's got a great video talking about how great Mulan is, where Mulan has to learn and overcome things, and becomes the hero because she uses her smarts, and she learns, and she comes from a really low area and kind of an outcast area, but learns how to become the hero. And it is a great movie, and she's right when she says that's a great movie. I like that movie. I'm hoping the live action version is going to live up to it. We'll talk about something else with Disney live action here a little bit later. I think you know what we're talking about. I'm rather blue. Anyway, so we need to see that with Captain Marvel. Because one of the things that, like That Star Wars Girl, that's the point I was getting to, was that Captain Marvel may be, in Avengers Endgame, supposed to be the end-all, be-all, I'm here to save the day because none of you are good enough to defeat Thanos. And something that she's brought up in one of her previous videos, and I have to agree with her again, is that we have had 10 years of Iron Man and Captain America and a lot of these other characters that we've seen them grow and struggle and have challenges and find ways to overcome them and become heroes. Captain Marvel, at this point, we haven't. You've got a lot you've got to build up in this Captain Marvel movie to make it acceptable for her to be the end-all, be-all. Hopefully she's not the end-all, be-all. She's just part of the team, part of the Avengers, and together we defeat Thanos. That's great. I would be fine with that. But if it comes about that she's the end-all, be-all, and she alone can save us all from Thanos, that might be a little harder to swallow, unless there's something about this Captain Marvel that we get so endured with that character in her Captain Marvel movie to where we're ready for that. We'll see what happens. We don't know yet. We haven't gotten there, but there's people concerned that that's what's going to happen, and people are not going to be responsive if that's what's happened. They're not going to respond positively. And especially Brie Larson has been saying a lot of things in the press that has been offending a lot of the fan base, carrying on a lot like where, we've seen some all-female-led movies that have gotten bad reviews because they made bad movies, but they're blaming white men for the problem. And Brie Larson has already started. She doesn't want white men reviewing her movie. Well, sorry, Miss Larson. I'll be reviewing your movie because I will see it, and I'll be telling everybody on the podcast what I think. And if I don't like the movie, I will tell people. But if I like the movie, I'll also tell them that. But you're going to say I'm sexist no matter what I say, apparently. So Brie Larson has been really hurting the fan base with stuff that she's saying, and not everybody's paying attention to that. But if you go on YouTube, you can find any number of videos about all the different things Brie Larson has been saying on her press tour that's been offending both men and women. Especially here recently, apparently she compared herself to Indiana Jones, that she's better than Indiana Jones. And that really, like That Star Wars Girl, which I think you should check out her channel, she was very upset by that because she really loves Indiana Jones. And the idea that you can have a male character that women can't relate to is ridiculous. Sort of like we men, we can relate to a female character too, and we can love them. Look at Wonder Woman. We all kind of related to her. We love her. I'm so excited for Wonder Woman 1984, by the way, because having the same creative team, I know I'm going to love that movie as well. I'm excited. So it's very possible that, yes, men can love good female heroes. You can do it. It's very possible. So hopefully that's what we're going to get. Captain Marvel needs to be that. But Brie Larson is really hurting the movie with what she's saying. And I've even heard that she's put up a crowdfunding of some sort to raise money for little girls to be able to have tickets to go to the movie. Now, when you think about that, and this is something else, that Star Wars girl, that's the name of her channel, that Star Wars girl, something she brought up, it's like, it would be better to crowdfund if they're too poor and can't afford a movie ticket, to get them maybe food, something they need, fulfill a need, take care of them, and not put money into the little girls that's going to come right back into your pocket because they're spending that money to buy a ticket for your movie. You're trying to falsely build your movie up on how much money you're going to make in that opening weekend. That's not good. So this could really hurt the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. If the fan base don't show up, you're going to have a problem. Now, there are still a lot of fans excited about that, and they don't know what all, Brie Larson's behavior, I think it's still going to open well. There's still plenty of excitement, but if that movie doesn't deliver on the promises of what it should be, it's going to come back and bite, and we're going to have another fan backlash. The other thing that's coming up this is like Disney's about to hit the wall is, there's a lot of people who are really not enjoying all of the remakes. Personally, I have been enjoying them. Not all of them, but most of them. I think it's a good time. I still love the animated originals better in most cases. I think probably in every case. But with Aladdin, and really, I like kind of the style. The costumes seem very, very Broadway. And what we saw in this teaser, it's kind of a neat style. I'm into it. We did have some concerns with the Entertainment Weekly. We got to see Will Smith looking kind of like Will Smith in a costume. And they said, oh, well, this is his disguise to walk around as human. And well, okay, I guess we can go with that. But we really wanted to see him as the Genie because that's been the concern. The Genie is what's going to make or break this movie. And that first look, now, Pixie Heather, my wife, she thought it looked okay. Well, a lot of us, though, were looking at that and we're it's a little cringe. Now, personally, I think if they would have completely done a CGI Genie and even had Will Smith maybe motion capture his face and some mannerisms to give it some character, and then make a character that's completely CG, mirror his mannerisms, that would have worked and it would have been really neat. But it looks like they've tried to do a mixture of CG and a little bit of live action of Will Smith, and something's not clicking. Now, it's possible to have a completely blue painted character like Yondu and make it work. It just seemed natural. Yondu just seems to be, he's blue. He doesn't feel painted. He just seems that way. Him and Ronan and, a lot of the other Kree, it works. So, you could kind of get away with that. But, of course, for the Genie, we do want to have like this big, larger-than-life type of character. So you have to make it look good. And I really think they should have gone pure CGI because that mixture, it's not working. And there's a lot of people who are looking at this like, I wasn't really excited about this and now I'm really not. I've lost some excitement after seeing that. I'm still going to go see it because I want to review it for you. And I do try to check out every Disney movie that I can. I didn't get to the Nutcracker because something wasn't quite fitting right, and I didn't hear a lot of praise for it. So I'll probably see it one of these days. But it looked kind of neat, but I guess the story wasn't there. But that's a different issue. But Aladdin may fall down too. So Captain Marvel, unless it really delivers, is going to fall. It's going to damage. Aladdin, if it doesn't deliver on its promises and has a fantastic Genie better than what we've seen, it's going to cause some fall. Avengers Endgame could be the biggest movie they have, but if it revolves around, oh, look, Captain Marvel's here to save us all, and it doesn't bring her in and make her part of the team, it's going to fall. Dumbo is also another thing that's a risk because it's a remake. Personally, I think Dumbo looks great and cute, and I'm excited for that one personally. So I think it's going to be fine. But there's a lot of potential risk with Disney and the fan base, and for Star Wars and for Marvel, any little thing, they blame Disney, and they're come after it. So this could be an interesting year for Disney, although they did just recently release the Frozen 2 teaser. It really didn't tell them, but there's people really excited about that. When I looked at it earlier, there was already 27,000 likes for the trailer, or teaser, really. I looked at it, though, and I thought, Why doesn't she start learning to? But maybe he is. I want. Maybe Elsa's going to be doing some learning and learning how to use her powers better. I guess is what we're getting to see. We're going to discuss it a little bit more on the podcast. So, but it really reminded me of like, oh look, she's being Frozone, which is Frozone is pretty much Iceman, and like she's trying to. Looks like she's trying to learn how to do that in order to cross some water. We don't know anything in the story. They might still get me interested. I was kind of like, because a lot of us are kind of burnt out on Frozen. Because Frozen was an okay movie. I've noticed that it responds. Women responded better to Frozen than some of the men did. It seemed like it had more to offer them, and so women have really enjoyed it, and men have been kind of like, well, it was all right. Because personally, if it wasn't for Olaf and Sven, I wouldn't have enjoyed it probably much at all. Because it was just kind of an okay story. I didn't get involved with it, but I think women who have their sisters, they related with their sisters, and that seemed to have worked for them, and so. That movie did very well. And so you have a sequel, which, remember, Walt never really made sequels, but we've had one good, impressive sequel with Mary Poppins, so this one could be something good. So far, I haven't gotten anything that's gotten me excited about Frozen 2, but it's going to take a lot to get me excited because the other one really felt flat. You had a weak villain granted, he was supposed to have been this, what is the word? Not psychopath. I forgot the word, but something a path, a sociopath. He was supposed to be a sociopath villain to where he was doing all these bad things on the lawn, but you couldn't tell until it was time for him to rise up. But that made him for a very weak Disney villain, and it was hard to care, personally. So they have to do better in the second one, and people have been commenting that it does look great. I'm like, well, yeah, because it's Disney. They're going to make sure everything looks great, but you have to have the story and some good characters that I'm going to get involved with. So far, we haven't seen Olaf in the trailer or the teaser. At least I don't remember seeing him. And he's going to be the selling point for me because Olaf, I did really enjoy him. Thank you, Josh Gad, for bringing us Olaf and made him as charming as he was because I still love Olaf. So even though that little short that they had there earlier around Christmas time, I don't know, it was okay. It felt like a TV special. But anyways, that's enough about that. But this is a year that Disney may have some problems to overcome. But we haven't seen any of these films yet. So we'll just have to see how they perform in the box office, how the fans are going to receive it. All this leading up to next December, because of course November will be Frozen 2, but in December we have Episode 9 of the Star Wars film, and you have a lot of Star Wars fans that really feel a little disenfranchised because there's stuff about the film that they haven't liked, and I've listened to them. I can understand where they're coming from, but they also feel a little bit attacked by some of the filmmakers. So this third in the new trilogy needs to make up for that. So I hope that the fan base still shows up to check it out and give it a fair chance, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. And I'm afraid some of the people who are really upset even over some of the Captain Marvel media and press and the trailers, they might not show up. But I still think plenty of people will show up to check it out. We'll just have to see how everybody responds to the movie after it comes out. Because if we don't get a good, strong response to the character of Captain Marvel, we may not get the response needed for Avengers Endgame, and what should be the biggest movie of the year other than maybe Star Wars could come crashing down. This is my 2 cents. Share what you think in the comments below or on neverlandpodcast.com. Feel free to say something there or go find us on Twitter at the Spider-Pan or at NeverlandPcast. Let me know what you think. Also, there is a hotline on neverlandpodcast.com. You can call, leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show and find out what you think of what I've said or your opinions on Captain Marvel and Star Wars or any of the Disney films coming out this year. We'll see you next time.